everybody. It's Dr. Emily Johns here with Dr. Carlos Aguar, and we're here to talk to you a little bit differently today. We're taking off the stethoscopes and talking a little bit more about the student loan crisis. In America, with especially in the veterinary industry.
I'm going to give you some tips and tricks, mostly from my experience. We're going to talk about all the dumb stuff I've done, all the bad things all the bad decisions I've made, and I hope you get some wisdom out of it. So this video is more towards either parents or those kids that want to be veterinarians. Hey, you should really listen to this because we're going to talk about cost. We're going to talk about financing. And I get this question a lot. Not only do you have to commit to time to become a veterinarian, but you're going to get into a lot of debt. So we don't want you to get into so much debt that it becomes unmanageable. So stay tuned because information is going to help you not become an indentured servant.
A really good quote that I like to say that I have learned, I cannot claim this, I have heard it from the Dave Ramsey podcast, is the borrower is slave to the lender. And that is a pretty good way to summarize this whole future conversation we're about to have here.
So let's talk about what is a loan and what is financing. Okay, and we're going to give you a very simple analogy. We're going to talk about loans as if you have a chicken farm. Okay, so we're going to talk about chickens, we're going to talk about eggs, and we're going to talk about the eggs hatching. So when you decide, usually these are decisions made by very young individuals. Let's say you finish high school at 18 and you're going to go to college. You have to decide, do I go to in-state, out-of-state, community college? And then you have to decide what is it that you're going to study. So on day one, they're going to tell you each credit costs this much. Hopefully you have just a lot of cash on hand and you can pay cash. But if you don't, then you finance. That is, you're going to ask money from the federal government. So in this analogy, think of when you're asking for money, it's like instead of money, they're going to give you chickens. So you're going to get a chicken. So when you finish college, what we calculated was, let's say you owe about $100,000, just to make it simple. So you owe the federal government 100,000 chickens, and how it works is they're going to give you an interest. Sometimes the interest is 3%. Sometimes it could be as high as 7%. But once you owe all this money every year, all your chickens, your 100,000 chickens, around springtime, they have eggs. So if you have a 3% interest, they're going to produce 3,000 eggs. If you owe a 7% interest, they're going to produce 7,000 eggs, right? And they're all going to hatch, and they're all going to start making their own eggs. So it's very important that you know how much debt you're going to take and how much income you're going to make. And what we calculated is your total debt has to be less than your yearly income.
Yep.
Think about that.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. So basically, if you get to the point that your interest is, 7%, which is pretty high, and then your minimum payment, like what they tell you to pay every month, is more, that 7% is actually more than what you'd be paying every month. That's why people are only paying interest, because they're actually just paying, their loan was so big and their payment so small that the 7% of their giant loan is not even covering like the basics. So they see their balance actually go up. So they're basically just feeding the bank at that point. So understanding your interest rate and your payment versus how much you're taking out is super important.
That's it. Let's say you have a 7% on $100,000 loan. If you don't make $7,001, then you're just paying interest. The
Unfortunately.
loan will not go down $1 until you pay that $7,001. So that's the problem we're gonna get into.
Mm-hmm.
So here's something else you should know. Once you take money from the federal government, you have to pay it back. Okay? You can't go bankrupt.
Student loans are not bankruptable.
You can't do a song and dance and get out of it. This is, you pay it off or you die. And I think if you die, they might dig your dead body and make you
That's a
keep
good
working.
question. I don't know if you pass away, if your student loans go away, or if they use your estate and then they want you to pay it off. That's a good question. I'm not sure, actually.
Maybe if you reincarnate, they'll find you and then they'll keep charging you interest. What do you think?
They might. The U.S. government, if they're broke enough, they just might. You better watch out.
This is what happened to me. When I finished college and vet school, and it took me more than normal people. I had some problems, but anyway, we won't get into it. But what happened was 6 months after you graduate, they start sending you the bill. Right? And my first job was with let's call it Crapfield, and I was making 80,000. Right? So 80,000 after they take off the taxes, the insurance, and I wasn't making much. So what I did was I went into, it's called an income-based repayment. Back then, so this is how they calculate your loan payment with this income-based repayment. They deduct $50,000 from your salary, which came to 30,000, and then you have to pay 10% or 15% of that, right?
Hey, isn't this guy cringe? Anyways, let's talk about some financials. Let's compare IBR with just a 20-year loan. Here's the math, and one you'll pay $300 and the other one, you'll pay $2,500.
So the payments became very manageable, and I thought I was getting away with something. I thought I was getting a free ride. But you know what was happening? The principal, or this, let's think about it as a flock of chickens. The flock of chickens was getting bigger. So I think the loan started at 170 and it ballooned. I think it was over $200,000. And I'm telling you, this was very stressful to me, because I think to really decrease the loan, I think it was between 1,500 and 2,000. So back then, and it was in Miami, so it was unmanageable. So I stayed in the income-based repayment, but I realized I had a problem, and it was getting worse.
It was getting worse. Yeah.
It
One problem then cascaded into 5 problems.
And imagine that you're getting into this huge debt and you have to pay it off. So I just didn't know what to do. I was overwhelmed, and unfortunately, the loan servicers back then was AES. Those people, the worst.
They're not your friend.
They're there to keep you in debt. They're not gonna help you. They're gonna give you misinformation. They're not gonna help you in any way. So you have to do your own research. You have to know every trick in the trade. So when you talk to them, you know exactly what you want, because they're not gonna help you. It's like, crack dealers. They're not gonna tell you what rehab is. Those people are crack dealers. Why wouldn't they want you to be in debt? Right?
Yeah, that's how they make their money. I mean, it is a money-making business. It is a business. Student loans is now a business that the U.S. government has put their hands on. And they've been taking millions from their 18-year-old citizens. It's crazy.
So that's what you got to do. You got to really, really understand what's going on. And every administration, Republican or Democrat, they change the rules. Mm-hmm. So how it started, it's not how it is right now.
Right.
Things have changed completely. What they promised in 2008 is not how it is right now. So every administration, they change the rules on you. So that's something you got to think about too.
Yep. Because even just recently this year, there was some major law changes with how much student debt people could take out per year. and then there's a certain cap. Like they're going to hit a point that they cannot take anymore, which is going to be a problem for certain universities or certain schools that, you know, especially these upper level DVM, MD, dentists that are having to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, not having to, choosing to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars with loans on their career. And it's going to basically say like, hey, at this point, the federal government is not going to give you any more. So how are they going to find that? Possibly private student loans, if you can get it, cash flow it, whatever it may be. But it's constantly changing. It's never going to stay the same.
I think the economics of education is all messed up because you can't go bankrupt. If you could go bankrupt, then these schools wouldn't be charging what they're charging, right? And these banks wouldn't be lending what they're lending.
They're lending 18-year-olds $100,000 for an 18-year-old that doesn't know what they want to do. It's crazy.
So you get to college. Do you remember when we got to college? The first thing that they give you is a credit card. Yep. I remember there was all these credit cards. I was like, man, I want a credit card. I think I had a $500 limit, and I maxed it out. I was buying drinks and going to clubs.
Oh, gosh.
And then what else was there? Yeah, the student loans. You go in there, and they're like, yeah, we'll give you $50,000.
Yeah, sure, it's for your education. You're bettering yourself. When realistically, they're giving you a 10 steps backward start to your life. So don't even get me started. There's so much I could say about this whole thing. Oh, we got more to come.
So let's move on.
All right.
So I'm going to talk about the income-based repayment trap. And this all depends on your financial needs and how much debt you've gotten into. But I've met about 5 veterinarians that owe $500,000. They owe $500,000. And, you know, I'm not that bad. But I was like, how are you going to get out of that? It's impossible. So this is what the IBR is. And what it means is income-based repayment. You pay a percentage of your income. And in the beginning, it's great. I think my payments were $300 to $500, and every year it would change. But the promise was that after 20 to 25 years, the debt would be forgiven. And they wouldn't. Let's say you make $1 million a year. You know, they'll cap the payment, like if it's a 20-year loan. But in my experience, after the pandemic, they put it they put the loan in. It's called
deferred.
They deferred the loan.
Yep.
So during that time, things just went out of whack. And from the Biden administration, they were all for forgiving all this debt. And then when they transitioned to the new administration, they were against any sort of forgiveness or helping out. But like we said before, the most important thing isn't the actual debt. It's the interest that keeps you just
that's
every
what
year.
Keeps you poor.
The loan. Yeah. So if one thing that I could do, that I would do if I could go back in time, is the loans, they were consolidated into one loan. And I remember my original loan were in the 3%. When you consolidate to get into these programs, it doubled to 7 1/8. So the interest doubled. And I thought, oh, so what? It's 4% more. 4% more is a lot.
It's a lot.
4% more is a lot of money. So whenever you get into these refinancement or consolidations, you got to sit down with somebody that knows and really understand, is this income-based repayment good for me? Or is it just going to trap me? You're just going to be a debtor for 20, 25 years. And then you're just going to have all these chickens that you don't know what to do with, which is what happened to me.
It's horrifically sad. I mean, it is a systemic problem that we have right now in the United States. There's like car debt and student loan debt are in like the hundreds of millions, if not billions, in the United States. It's insane. It's gotten out of control. There's no control on it. And I think people are just not educated enough because it's so normalized. Student loans are so normal. It's like, oh, you want to go to college, you take out a student loan. That's what you do. But it's really shouldn't be normalized. And we should try to do things to try to make it more known about what should, how we can possibly cash flow certain things and really watching out for these predatory loans.
Yeah, because you hear that all the time. That happened. Oh, they're gonna pay off the student loan, and everybody went crazy. No, they have to pay it off, and it's the responsible thing to do, and this and that. But I was like, okay, don't pay off the student loan, but does it have to be 7%? Right?
They
I
want their
remember the
money.
housing interest was at 3%, and the loans
They were
7%, and sometimes it's 12%. You're like, I feel like it's like predatory loans.
Yeah.
And it's like, these are the intellectuals of the United States that are just accumulate these loans that they can't pay back. And what they're doing is they're not gonna have children, right? Buy houses. I remember when I had these loans, I mean, to buy a house, that was a mission. Because every
Yeah.
time you ask for a loan, they're like, oh, you owe all this money?
Mm-hmm.
And then the problem was too the insurance. The insurance was overwhelming to have a child or two. I remember when I had my son, we had insurance, and for some reason in Fort Lauderdale, everybody gets a C-section, and we got like a $10,000 loan debt with insurance, and
They didn't cover it?
no, you still gotta pay, like, it's called co-insurance. So
Why do you even
I
have
thought they were
health
gonna-
insurance? That's so
I thought they
silly.
were gonna come repo my kid if I didn't pay. Imagine they repo your kid.
Oh my
man.
Lord.
Oh man. I'm
You're like,
telling
just
you,
put him back.
This is another stupid thing I did. So my original, it's called loan servicer. That's the person that you pay, and then they send the money to the bank, or I don't know who they send, Department of Education, to somebody. I don't know. But anyway, what I was sending my payments to, they were called AES. But recently, I had got into this program called PSLF, Public Service Loan Forgiveness. My debt had become so overwhelming that I knew I was never going to pay it off. So what I did is I started working for shelters or non-for-profits. And then the agreement was that if I did 10 years and I paid 120 payments, the loan will be forgiven. And I was like, oh, it's a good deal because I love working for shelters. So I started doing that. And I was sending my payments to AES. I would call them, hey, I'm sending the payments. Everything's good. Yeah, no problem. And I think I had been sending payments for 3 years, thinking that I was in the public service loan forgiveness, until another vet told me, oh no, you can't send it to AES. You got to send it to Fed loans.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole time I was sending payments, they didn't tell me. They just straight up lied to you. So then I thought I was gonna lose all those payments. It's like 3-4 years of payments.
Yeah.
Well, I switched to Fed loans and thought, well, I have to start again from zero. And then they wouldn't transfer all the loans. They only transferred some and this and that. And then I told them I wasn't gonna pay. And then this and that. And then, I thought I was paying. I thought I was negotiating, but I got my spankings. So this is what happened. One of the loans, I was able to pay it off, reduced.
Yeah.
So I'll pay you this much. They're like, all right, but this is not gonna.
They took
go
a settlement, kind of.
Yeah, they took a settlement, but I hadn't paid it for 3-4 months, and then it went into default.
Yeah.
Right. So then I transferred all those to Fed loans, and I thought everything was great. Until in 2021, I tried to start a clinic with another veterinarian, and no bank was lending me anything.
They were like, he's a risk of not paying us back. We're not going to give you any money.
They're like, even with collateral, they're like, no, we can't lend you any money because you defaulted on student loans. I was like, man,
Government-backed student loans.
I messed up.
You messed up.
So
with the
learn from
dates.
my mistake. Don't default on your student loans because
Keep
these
paying
people
them.
they give you your spankings.
Pay them off as fast as humanly possible.
Also
Every
problem.
extra cent. And like I said, I listen to a lot of Dave Ramsey, and as he says, like, live on rice and beans, beans and rice, and every single extra dollar you get goes to the debt payment. Don't go out to eat. Don't do nothing until you get that covered, because you'll be so much better off once that's out of your life completely.
So the student loans, they blackballed me. No bank would lend me any money because of I went into default. So there's something else you should know.
So, kind of to summarize, the golden rule about borrowing for future veterinarians or aspiring veterinarians. First off, for me, if you can avoid borrowing completely, that would be fantastic. Find some other way. But basically, you really need to understand and commit that your total loan balance should never exceed your expected your expected yearly earnings. So if and you also need to be paying very close attention to the interest rate and how much you're borrowing. And don't lose track of all of the little loans. A little loan here for $5,000, little loan for here, and then people do these consolidations that can make it really, really crazy. So borrowing $250,000 when you're only going to make $100,000 to $125,000 is basically you're going to be mounted in student loan, and it's going to be so difficult to climb out. And now we have those new regulations that we talked about where you're hitting certain caps. So you're going to have to find other ways, which I think is honestly nice, because people are going to have to start brainstorming and be like, all right, I'm not going to be able to cover whatever. I've got to find other ways. Let me look up scholarships. Let me look up, even people look into the military service, which pays for college. Like, there's so many alternative routes that people forget about. There's a woman who wrote a book. I can't think of her name, but she said she won like $500,000 in scholarships. She wrote a book about it. She's been a podcast personality about it. And have your kids read those books. New parents, read those books if your kids are going to college. Like, learn about all of the alternative ways of funding schools outside of the loans, because there's thousands of dollars of random scholarships, like tall people scholarships. Like, there's most random stuff, like trade school scholarships, animal scholarships. All these companies, like all these drug companies, have scholarships for people who want to go. Like, there's so many opportunities. If you read that book and understand like really how to search for those scholarships, that's going to be super important too, because there's other alternatives besides loans.
So before you go here are 10 tips that if you're a parent or student that you should think about. If you're in high school, try to take as many AP classes as you can. AP classes, they give you college credits. Mm-hmm. And imagine all the money you're going to save if you're taking college classes in high school. Because if you think about it, the first 2 years of college is a waste of time. You're wasting your time. Mm-hmm. They make you take electives that are mandatory. How ridiculous is that?
I had to take like 2 writing classes and this type for like a science major. Like, I'm not going to write essays about books that I'm never going to read again.
So the first 2 years, you're there wasting your time and getting into debt. So try to take AP classes, advanced placement. Another thing that you should think about is getting into the 529 college savings plan. This is you pay for college now because later it's going to be more expensive.
And there's tons of tax advantages to these accounts. As far as I know, there's no limit to how much you can put in there. And then there's tax advantages when you're taking out the money. You put it in tax-free and you take it out tax-free. And then even if, say, there's leftover, or your child decides not to go to college and you have $50,000 or $60,000 there waiting for them, there's things you can do as long as you've had the account open for a period of time, like 15 years. You can do things with it, like roll it into a Roth IRA for your child or something like that. Or you can put the beneficiary into a new name. Like, say you have you had one child and your sister has one child and you wanted to gift them because your child didn't use the whole account. You could gift it to help your sister's kid pay for college, or you could save it for potential grandkids. There's a lot of these tax advantages to it for sure.
And sometimes you want to give gifts to like children, and you buy them like stupid stuff. Sometimes it's better just to give them put money into these accounts because they're gonna when they're little,
It'll grow
by the time
exponentially.
they're
It like
18.
doubles every 7 years on average. So I watch the George Camel show. Shout out George Camel if you watch this. Great. He at his kid's birthday party, like his daughter's first birthday party, had a QR code that you could scan to put money for her birthday into her 529.
That's what he did.
Yeah, and he said no one put anything in it, but he was like, "Am I like ultra nerding?" And I thought it was so funny. I laughed out loud so hard. I was like, "That's such a George move." George, you don't know me, but I feel like I know you through your podcast. So,
is he like a Dave Ramsey wannabe?
He's one of the he's one of the personalities on the show. So
he's in the Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. There's like 5 or 6 personalities. Yeah.
Hey, but yeah, what are you gonna give a 1-year-old? Right? They doesn't need anything, right?
I just give him $1, or I'd put or I'd actually put it in the 529. That would have been me. I would have done that.
That's like when you give like a monkey like a banana or $1 million. They're like, give me the banana.
Give me the banana. Exactly.
Let him do all his paper.
Exactly. So yes, that account fortunately has so many benefits. It's definitely something. And I think it's nationwide. It's not state by state. So it's definitely something people look into, and start it right when they're born, when they're 1 year old. Start it. It just compounds and compounds. And when you have good seasons, you can put more in there. If you have slow or bad seasons, you can put less in there, and that's okay.
Here's another thing that you should think about. Stay in your state. Once you go out of your state, they start like charging you a lot. I mean, it's the same country, but they treat you like a foreigner. In the United States.
Yeah, well, your tax dollars aren't supporting their state, and
like here in Florida, UF have one of the best veterinary schools, and then there's one now in Jacksonville, Orange Park, called Lincoln Memorial University. So they're already taking students. They already have a class going on there. Like Dr. Emily says, try to look into scholarships and just apply to everything.
Scholarships, and that includes scholarships for academically inclined, well-off high school students. For the state of Florida, it's Bright Futures, which is where you get like 75 to 100% of your tuition covered. My sister is going to FSU, and with her grades and stuff, she got basically her tuition is almost virtually free because she did so well in class that she's getting, as long as she maintains a good grade point average, she gets to keep that like $100 per credit hour or whatever it is that basically almost helps her tuition be totally free. And she's in the honors, which helped. And she got scholarships. She just had a scholarship dinner last week for $5,000 through an underground utility company. And she's pre-med. Like there's so much stuff out there. Like you just have to put the effort and time into it. Make it like a full-time job for your kid. Like, hey, you will get paid, even if it's only $250 here, $1,000 here. If you make it your full-time job to look for those scholarships and you get them, you're basically that 1 hour that you took to apply for that one. If you get $250, that's $250 an hour you just made. That's a lot of money. So if you think about it like this way and motivate your kids and be upfront with them, parents, about what they're realistically looking at. Like if you can't afford to send them to some bougie private or out-of-state college, you need to tell them, hey, this is what we can afford to help you with, and this is where we can afford for you to go. And that may be a community college for the first year or two to live at home and get all those BS classes done with, and then maybe go to your state school or wherever you'd like to go. Don't feel like, where you went to college has zero standing in how successful you will be. So even though all of these colleges are like, oh, you went to Harvard and we have this amount of, acceptance into jobs their first years, it's like, it actually doesn't really matter because, for instance, like in the veterinary medicine, we both went to Caribbean schools, which I loved. I have no regrets. I love my university. But it did back in the day, much more previously before, but it had a little bit of a rap of being like maybe the ones that couldn't go to your state school. But to be honest, doing relief all throughout the city, the people that I work for that own businesses are majority all of our Caribbean school students because they were super motivated. It doesn't matter what school you went to. It matters about you and your drive and how you take what classes, what career you take, and also make sure that career has validity and skill. And then you are the bread and butter to your career, not your school.
You think the C students hire all the A students?
I don't know. I was an A student, so that's all I'm saying.
Student?
Yeah,
Yeah, but I
was a magna cum laude, and I was like,
you were a magna cum laude?
And I was what do they call it? Xi Theta or something. Whatever. It's the honors thing, which I was very proud of. I worked very hard. But
I was always at the bottom of the class. But I have a lot of good stories, though.
And now he's a business owner. Look at him.
I'm going to revolutionize veterinary medicine. They're going to write books and songs about me. That's what I told myself. I got a lot to prove. You see, I have a lot of insecurities. You want some more tips? Here,
okay, keep going. We have more tips. Continue. We're just joking around.
This is something I didn't do. Also, I would take as much money as they would give me and then go on cruises and do a lot of stupid things.
You dumb.
I did.
Don't do that.
Take the minimum, right?
Take the minimum. If you have to take, try not to take. But if you have to take.
I hope that student loans aren't watching this, but I went to Europe.
Oh my God. If you have $10,000 left of your $20,000 bill, put it back. Don't spend it, please.
Yeah, tell a 20-year-old.
That cruise is now 7% interest you're paying on it.
I paid that cruise like 20,000 times.
For 20 years.
What I should have done is, if I had money left over, I send it back to them. I don't want it. This is poison, right? That's what I just thought. But I was like,
it is poison.
I was like, nah, I'm gonna go on a cruise.
This is why we want.
Yeah, don't do what I did.
Yeah, parents and students, watch this video if it has any sort of eye-opening for you from his experiences and my very biased opinion about how I think the student loan world is.
You were at the top of your class?
I was top 25, yeah.
Nice.
If that matters. I don't know which one in there. I just remember.
Oh, this is going to be dear to your heart.
Okay.
You know what the debt avalanche is?
Yes, but that's not what we do at the Ramsey plan. We do the debt snowball, not the debt avalanche.
What's the first step? Cut up the credit cards. You know what I got? I got an Amex.
We're getting off topic here.
I'm still doing stupid things. I got an Amex, and it costs $1,000 a year. You know why? Because I like to show it to people. It's metal.
I know.
You don't have any credit cards?
I have no credit cards. No, I have one debit card.
I can't cut it up because it's metal, though. I have to hit
it with... burn it.
I got to hit it with this sledgehammer. Maybe they make it metal so you can't cut it.
That's exactly what they do. No, I have no. Even my business account has no credit cards. It's just a debit card.
Not even the business?
Nope, my business does not have a credit card.
You're serious. That's why
you hear that, Dave Ramsey and George Campbell? I'm serious.
That's why I like hanging out with Dr. Emily, because she has good advice. She's just very focused, and I just don't learn my lesson. I have to.
He's my crazy uncle.
Uncle Carlos tells you all the stupid stuff and stuff, and I hope you learn. I mean, this is. I laugh, but this is very serious. This is really tormenting me. This has been a big challenge that I think, according to the public service loan forgiveness, they said November, but now it's December because there's some document that I have to send, and I called them, and I get just overwhelmed with passion, and I screamed at that lady, "How could you live with yourself just lying to people?" I just became like a crazy Kevin, like a Kevin Carter, just screaming at the top of my lungs. I almost started crying because these people, they're just so terrible. So don't get into debt. Just don't do it in general. Yeah, don't get into debt with these people. I'm telling you, it's a problem. From someone who experienced debt, from someone who had the fortunate, my parents planned for that. I did not have to experience the student debt. The difference here is what, you can clearly see. It's tremendous because
it affected his whole life, and he has learned from it and is now spreading the word. And fortunately, I had, parents who kind of had that ideal mindset and knew to save for college. So,
and we thank you for watching. I hope you get something out of this. Please, if you have children, try to save up for their college. Try to keep them in state. And they talk bad about community colleges. Do 2 years of community
nothing
college.
wrong with community
They're
college.
like basically very, very affordable. I know this parent that's gonna send her kid to University of Miami, which is a private school. It's $50,000 a year. It's gonna they have a ton of money, but that's $200,000
for an undergraduate degree.
Yeah,
not a graduate degree.
So you drink and be stupid. That's what they're gonna be paying for.
Do they know what the degree is? Not yet.
Hopefully it's brain
Hopefully
surgery.
it's useful.
But let's see.
Yeah, I was like, hopefully it's useful for $200,000.
Well, we'll see you next time. Remember, spay and neuter.
Bye.
And vaccinate.
How could you do this to me? All you've done is lied. You're worse than the mob. You're worse than a Disney cruise. You people are horrible. How could you live with yourself? Why did I get into so much debt?